Hey guys, hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Hey everyone. When I say hello and I greet you in such a enthusiastic manner, it's because I'm really trying to get myself together. I'm trying to get all my notes in front of me. I'm trying to make sure my camera is looking okay, which it doesn't. It looks a little weird, but that's okay. We adjust on the fly and we will try to make sure that we get things together before we get into the content, before we get into the heart of the information. So, I'd like to say hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. It's me, it's your girl, Sia, and I am here again talking about how to embrace what's next. Okay, so welcome to the channel. This is Countdown to Clocking Out. And this channel is specifically for the Gen X women, much like myself, who are winding down our main careers. We're winding down our main careers. We have been working in the same industry, same job, same type of thing for 20, 30 years or so, right? And we're about to maybe retire. We are looking at what we're going to do next. And this is the place for you. Now, don't fright, don't fear. If you are a millennial or a boomer and you have those same questions, those same kinds of struggles, inner struggles, this is also a place for you. This is the place, this is the space, this is the community for you. So tonight's message, and I'm not going to hold you long. I always say that, and I really don't. These are probably about 10 minutes or so. Tonight, I want to talk a little bit about how to let go of your career identity and embrace what's next. How to let go of your career identity and embrace what's next. So, we when you leave a career, a field, something that you've been in for a long time, you feel comfortable, you know how to do this thing, and even though you might be tired of it, even though you might be a little weary, okay, you might be a little afraid to step out to something new. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about leaving a long-term career and I'm going to talk about how to kind of reframe your identity beyond work. Okay? So how much of your identity, and this is a question I'm asking anyone who's on, how much of your identity is tied to your career? Drop a percentage in the chat. Drop a percentage in the chat because that is going to inform kind of how you make your next move, make your next step. I would say for me, in terms of how much of my identity is tied to my career, I'd say maybe 50%. Yeah, I've been an educator for almost 30 years now. It's hard to believe, but that's true. And it really, really has me, it's a big part of who I am and who I see myself as. Now, the question is when it's time for me to transition to beyond being in the realm of public education, what am I going to do? Who am I going to be at that point? Now, one thing we need to think about is why career identity is so strong. So when you meet someone, hello, how are you? Yes, and you ask someone to introduce themselves, they often will tell you, "Hello, my name is da 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 da, and I am a blah blah blah," and they will tell you kind of what line of work they're in. Um, Society defines you by your careers, and if you've been successful, whether we would like to admit it or not, that's kind of something we kind of hang our hat on. As women, especially, I would say we also, ha- if you have a family and a career that you're juggling, that is definitely something that you are proud of, that you are taking hold of and that you kind of wear as a badge of honor. But let's talk about that. Let's talk about some of the negatives of how your long term career can shape your self worth. Okay. So it's interesting if you see yourself as a successful X, once you leave the role of X, are you still a successful person? Or does that success is that automatically kind of married to the role that you've had? So it's heavy. In fact, if you leave a familiar role, it's scary. It's daunting because for many of us and many of us high achievers, we know what we're doing in our particular role and we are moving forward. We are doing it. But what does it feel like when you are not the person in that role? I want you to think about your core values and who are you without your title? Who are you without your title? That's what you need to think about, especially if you are considering shifting roles, starting a new chapter, starting a new career, retiring, starting something new. Who are you without your title? And that takes some self work. And that's part of what we're doing around here on this channel. As a matter of fact, we're kind of delving into that work because it's not something we tend to think about or really examine on a daily basis unless you're really that introspective type. But that's one thing that I want to make sure that our community holds space for, the opportunity to really kind of think about who you are, what you like to do, and who are you at the essence. Okay, so when we talk about who you without your title, what about your hobbies? Volunteer, any what about the communities you're a member of? Okay, so part of shifting from your current job, your current role is finding new groups or communities or networks that are aligned with where you're going. So, for instance, for me, if I want to try to transition out of my career, which I plan to within the next 5 years, okay, and I want to make content creation a part of my next chapter. I want that to be my retirement income. I want that to be part of who I am and what I do moving forward. A new community I can become a part of is the YouTube community, even though they're mostly young people, and even though those folks are very even though there's some Gen Xers and some boomers that are getting into it, but that's where I need to seek out my new community. So think about that for yourself. What are the groups or networks you need to start to align yourself with? And if you're on, or even if you're watching the replay, share one skill or activity that you've always wanted to explore. Drop it in the chat. One skill or activity that you've always wanted to explore, and start from there. And I think what happens is we get stuck. We get stuck in our work life, we get stuck in our home lives. We don't know what to do, where to turn, and it just takes some work, some self work. Okay. So now, what I want to do is I want to just kind of remind you, in order to successfully embark on your next journey, you have to kind of take stock of where you are, what you like to do, what your identity is without your role, without your job, and kind of how you can make that fit to your next chapter. So that's it. I just wanted to hop on to have you think about your life aside from, uh, away from your current role. So I am going to come live again. I am committed to going live 3 times a week. So the next time I go live, it will be about second act careers. What's possible after your first career? Because I think, as I mentioned before, people get stuck. We don't know what to do. We don't know what's available, what's out there. A lot of careers are out there that didn't even exist when we were young, when we were coming out of school, when we were exploring the world of work. So, let's talk about it next time. So, thank you so much for joining me. And until next time, goodbye.